Hey everyone, me Kevin here. There's a lot of cleanup to do on stimulus today, so let me give you all of the updates that we have, and here's what's actually going on. First, the Senate is voting today to pass a continuing resolution to keep the government funded and avoid a government shutdown, which would otherwise occur in 6 days. The House has already passed this, the Senate is expected to pass this today, and Trump is expected to sign this either late today or tomorrow. That will keep the government funded through approximately December 11th, so we'll be able to get through the election season without a shutdown government. Also, yesterday, I broke to you that Nancy Pelosi has stated she's willing to introduce a new, smaller $2.2 trillion bill. Then, late yesterday, Democrats also blocked the discharge petition from Republicans, hoping to allow Republicans to just get a small piecemeal bill through on a second round of PPP funding. Kevin McCarthy says the goal was to reallocate the existing $130 billion available in the PPP fund that's unused and open it up for a second round, and expressed discontent that Nancy Pelosi and Democrats have blocked this. Right now, it does not look like enough Democrats are willing to join Republicans in this discharge petition. However, this threat has substantially ramped up pressure on Steny Hoyer and Nancy Pelosi. We know that Nancy Pelosi wants a $2.2 trillion package, which Republicans have complained about, because they see it as a blank check. They see it as a package that will be filled with Democratic wish list items, much like the larger HEROES Act was. And Republicans have complained that they have no idea what is in that $2.2 trillion package, so how could they possibly negotiate on it? Well, this morning, Nancy Pelosi said that we will be, quote, very soon showing you where the money would be spent. That is, Nancy Pelosi is going to reveal her proposal very soon, which in Congress could be like in a day or could be in 6 months, I'm not sure. But she is going to reveal her own proposal to show how her $2.2 trillion package would be broken down. And hopes are that this is going to keep Democrats unified in the House and not vote for a discharge petition. And instead, Republicans will now have a proposal to compare to, and we can actually negotiate a stimulus proposal. This is good progress, and it's more progress from what we had yesterday. And I fully agree that if Nancy Pelosi wants to hold firm on 2.2, then send us the proposal. Let's understand what's different between the HEROES Act, the Problem Solvers Caucus at 1.5 trillion, and Nancy Pelosi's at 2.2. Many of us are hopeful that this is going to be a scale up of the $1.5 trillion Problem Solvers Caucus proposal. Let's do a very quick comparison of the HEROES Act and the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal. Then I want to show you where there is misinformation that's going around online about stimulus, and I want to clear that up here just so we have the correct expectations and understanding as to what's actually happening, rather than simply sensationalized headlines and news stories. Let's get into the facts. We haven't really talked about the HEROES Act in months because this was passed back in May. Remember, the HEROES Act is actually that plan that would give $1,200 stimulus checks and $1,200 to dependents, plus ITIN numbers would qualify, which are undocumented workers who potentially pay taxes. $600 in unemployment through January 31st per week, potentially as long as March 31st, $1 trillion to state and local governments, $200 billion for hazard pay. That's where hazard pay was, and that's where hazard pay went to die and never came up again since then, which is very sad. $75 billion for testing, tracing, and treatment, OSHA standards, $10 billion in EIDL grants, $175 billion for renters and housing assistance, along with cannabis as a therapy for COVID, other cannabis-related funding, boosts to SNAP, although we already got that in the continuing resolution, and some other items like fixing mortgage forbearance and the anti-tax cut items that Republicans wanted to propose. That would be inside of the HEROES Act. Now, then we had the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal. This instead gave $1,200 in stimulus checks, or would give, and $500 to dependents, with nothing for ITIN filers visible. And we're not sure how child support would fit in on that as well. PPP funding, both plans have more PPP funding, EIDL funding. Unemployment pay would only be $450 for 8 weeks, and then up to $600, with a limit of receiving 100% of prior wages. So these are some of the quick differences differences, and you can kind of pause on screen here to see a little bit more, but these are some of the quick differences, as well as basically half the amount of state and local government aid. But those are some of the quick differences between the HEROES Act and the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal. Okay, so where does this leave us now? Because the bottom line is we're waiting for Nancy Pelosi to give us her proposal. But in the meantime, there is a lot of misinformation on YouTube about stimulus, and I just want to clear some of these things up because I just want to be as realistic as possible. I'm an investor. I'm a real estate investor, real estate broker, and stock investor, and what I do for a living has to be fact-based. So, someone asked me this morning if Nancy Pelosi actually threatened to impeach Trump to stall the Supreme Court appointment. Now, I'm not taking sides here. Here's what happened. Nancy Pelosi was asked if she would consider impeaching Trump to stall the Supreme Court nomination, essentially. Would she consider impeaching Trump to do that? She did not deny that that was a possibility and simply said, we have our options. We have arrows in our quiver. I'm not about to discuss the options, essentially. This particular quote led Kevin McCarthy to freak out and say that we've got our quiver as well. It led Kayleigh McEnany to say that Nancy Pelosi wants to use an arrow on Trump, which isn't what she said. And it's led to a lot of speculation that Nancy Pelosi will literally create another impeachment just to delay the Supreme Court nomination. Now, so far, she has not confirmed that, but I wanted to give you a little bit more insight into where that quote actually came from, because in my opinion, it's being taken a little out of context and it's being sensationalized more than it is. I don't think by Nancy Pelosi saying we're not going to discuss this is confirmation that that's what she wants to do. And maybe it is, but I'm just saying, like, it seems to be getting taken a little far right now out of that quote. It just goes to show, though, how divided our country is. But the sad thing is, these kind of quotes divide our country even more. In a second piece of misinformation, there was mention that Nancy Pelosi is breaking her promise by sending Congress home. Steny Hoyer already explained on the same day that Nancy Pelosi said this, that what Nancy Pelosi means, and he made it very, very clear, is that congressmen and women are going to go back home to their districts. Nancy Pelosi is going to stay in Congress negotiating with the White House because even though we've got a bunch of representatives who want to tell their constituents, we're fighting in Congress for you, not at home working on our campaigns, even though they're sending letters like that, which is true, the realistic truth is that this stimulus negotiation is a negotiation between Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, and the White House. It doesn't matter if 435 people are standing around in the House of Representatives. It comes down to Nancy Pelosi, Mnuchin, Meadows, Trump, and Steny Hoyer. That's where the negotiation is. And I think this is another sensationalized story that's misleading what's actually going on. Furthermore, in a third piece of misinformation, it was stated that Republicans can't confirm a Supreme Court justice after the election. This is not true. Republicans actually have until January to confirm a Supreme Court justice. That's because Trump is still in office until mid to late January, and Republicans are still in Congress for the rest of the year. So even if Biden wins the election, Republicans can still complete the nomination and confirmation process and confirm the appointment of a Supreme Court justice after the election. They have the rest of November and December to do just that if they wanted to. But Republicans do want to confirm a Supreme Court justice prior to the election because they actually see it as a morale boost and a rallying cry for Republicans. Furthermore, Nancy Pelosi said today that after a continuing resolution is passed, which is being voted on probably right now, or might already be passed by now, we hope to meet and make a deal. Nancy Pelosi said this. It's not all bad news out there. But the needs for coronavirus relief are increasing. She said that. Meanwhile, Mark Cuban, the shark from Shark Tank, suggests that every household get $1,000 stimulus checks every 2 weeks for the next 2 months. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin recommends, quote, let's pass things we can agree on quickly, and we can always come back and do more. In fact, it's less of an issue of what the absolute number is. Instead, Mnuchin suggests let's just get something done. Also, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says that if he had to repurpose part of the CARES Act money that's left over, he suggests that it go to PPP money and unemployment money. This is the first time he's given a direct suggestion on fiscal stimulus. Larry Kudlow went on Fox News this morning to reiterate that we don't need another stimulus package to sustain this super V-shaped recovery. On the election, we are 40 days from the election, and Kayleigh McEnany spent a good chunk of her press conference this morning saying that Trump will accept the results of a fair and free election, but did not share what the conditions would be for a fair and free election. On refinancing will get more expensive in about 3 weeks as new Fannie Mae fees start showing up in interest rate pricing on all refinances. This comes at the same time as housing sales are still defying gravity. On COVID, Missouri's governor and wife now have COVID. Multiple schools in Wisconsin are shocked that multiple parents have sent their COVID-19 positive children to school. And some parents outright refuse testing because they don't want to keep their children home because they have to go to work. It shows the problems we have in our country for containment purposes. Testing isn't the be-all, end-all. In France, all bars and restaurants will close in Marseille. In London, people are now being asked to work from home again. And in Germany, Oktoberfest is canceled. Also, intensive care units in Spain and Italy are struggling with a new surge of COVID cases. Cases are slightly down yesterday in the United States to 37,666, but we are still on an elevated case trajectory from where we ended the first week of the month. On stocks, the market had a terrible open this morning, but has largely recovered, with stocks that were completely beaten down yesterday now up around 2 to 3%, with the exception of Nikola, which is down 4%. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely make sure to check out the courses in the links down below for investing in stocks, real estate, making YouTube videos and making money from making YouTube videos, and of course, get your life insurance in as little as 5 minutes via the link down below. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.